about the way you carry yourself commands my attention. I see no one else. Don't do that thing that
Well, this is Miles with eiKelowna.com, and today we're getting to know Kailee McGuire. Thank you so much, Kailee, for inviting us into your space.
Thanks for being here.
Those of you who don't know Kailee, she is an Okanagan cover artist and singer-songwriter who has been gigging ever more frequently around the Okanagan, while also gaining the respect of many of the top artists and musicians here in town. Not only is she embracing the performance side of the music scene, but she's also recently completed the sound engineering program at Okanagan College and getting her feet wet in a live sound space as well. When we first encountered her, Kailee, this was summer last year, early summer of last year. You were playing on the big outdoor stage, the huge outdoor stage at Vibrant Time in eiKelowna. And I recall, taking in the solo singer, sharing one of her own songs and setting it up before she started it, with a very open and honest discussion of the struggles you were going through at the time that led to the lyrics for the piece. And to me, it was offered with alarming vulnerability and transparency, on the wings of what appeared to be an unassuming but yet unapologetic courage.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. It was a really neat moment.
That's cool.
And I know that's not the beginning of your story of doing music at all, let alone live music in Kelowna. But if we start there for a moment, as when I first got to see you, where were you in your sense of things?
Yeah.
At that point in time.
Where was I? I guess I was still working a full-time job and studying online, and knowing that I wanted to do music because I've always done music, but I took quite a few years due to traveling and whatnot in my 20s, just I wouldn't say taking a break from it. I just was learning how to look after myself better, so then I didn't have music and songwriting as such an outlet, and I was very shy to put myself out there. So when last summer, that was probably not the first time, but I had a couple summers before that been working up to it, but that was the first time I was really just trying to go for it, I guess, and do it full time, or as much as I could full time.
I think I read on the bio on your website about you singing since you began to speak.
Yeah.
And getting your first guitar at 8 years old or something.
Yeah. My mom says that when I was a kid, if I was having a bath, I was singing about my day, and I just was always listening to music. I thought everybody was like that.
We've watched a lot of artists over the past 2 years during COVID. I mean, we made that our thing.
Yeah.
To go and watch a lot of people.
Yeah.
And some people have really, really, really grown. They've really worked on their craft, and they've really made gigantic strides.
Yeah.
And I honestly, truly believe that you're one of those people.
Thank you.
Well, no, thank you. I mean, when I think back to that performance the year before, and it was, it was good, right? It was very good, right? And now it's this girl can play guitar.
Thanks.
And there's this whole thing about being a guitar player, and that's all you do, and then playing lead lines or whatever. Yeah. There's this whole other skill of accompanying yourself well on your instrument when you're a singer-songwriter.
Right, yeah.
My gosh, that's happening with you right now.
Thank you.
So tell me how you got there.
I think it was, I've always kind of had this, because I'm by myself, I want to make the guitar sound more interesting than just strumming. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think also I had been playing for so long, I was kind of okay, Kailee, let's pick it up a little bit, or I've wanted to get better, and so I guess I just set that intention. And I'd like to say that I practiced every day for the last 2 years, but during COVID I was in school and studying and working full time. It's really hard to as an adult, I find, intentionally practice, because when I sit down, I just want to sing and play. I don't want to like have to work on something, but it just was a matter, I think, of like putting in the work and learning some new songs, or just maybe to like when I stopped working or when I finished studying and just like had more time or made music more of a priority than just being with your instrument every day. Is you don't realize how much you like. I would have never known that unless you said, because I'm with myself all the time, so you know
you don't hear
I
it
don't
happening,
hear it, or like it feels good or it feels better, or I can now do some things where a year ago I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if I could do this, but I still only see like, oh, I still can't lead play, or I still can't solo, so trying to like not be afraid of those songs that might have a little lick in it, and just keep doing it, and then not being afraid to play it, because I find it's the hard part is playing it in front of people, because they get so worried about messing it up, but then it just doesn't matter. Like the more you do it in front of people, that's where I feel like I've actually grown, because in your room it's sometimes
there's
easy.
bedroom ready and there's gig ready.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, and there's an ocean between them.
Yeah.
So when you started doing that and spending that more time with the instrument, was any of it checking out artists you like on YouTube and go, oh, I like that lick, or I hear the sound and I want to find that sound, or
yeah, I guess so. You know what? Thinking back, like more recently I've felt like that about guitar. Really intentionally listening. But I would say over the last couple of years, I've actually been listening, or I would be more intrigued by like voices and just live performance, and kind of what people are, the emotionality that people are bringing to it. I guess like an artist that really inspired me with her guitar playing is Leanne LaHavas, and just the way she can she's just her and her guitar, but it's so interesting, and I thought like I want to be like that. So yeah,
I'm
that
so glad
answers
you
the question.
mentioned a female artist that way, because
Yeah.
there's lots of examples of males who do funky stuff on guitar, and that's great for us guys, right?
Totally, yeah.
But it's so neat that there are, and there always have been. They just
Yeah.
haven't gotten anywhere near
Yes,
the focus
the
on them that they
recognition.
should have had over the years. But there's lots of brilliant female guitar players out
Yeah.
there, whether they're lead players or
Yeah.
just skilled at that thing of backing
Yeah.
themselves up really well.
Totally.
So, as a songwriter, who have your influences been? Who are you listening to now? And then I'm going to ask the same thing about guitar players.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. This is a hard one, because I love like so much music. Growing up, like I specifically, like I remember being obsessed with like the Beatles and Johnny Cash and Paul McCartney, like his solo stuff afterwards. Electric Light Orchestra, like just really old. That Nora Jones, I know she's not super old, but like I would say those artists and like Laura Marling were probably some of my biggest influences. And then like once I discovered YouTube and LimeWire later, like as a teenager, just downloading everything and realizing, oh, there's more than classic rock and what my parents had available for me to listen to, sort of thing. So that's when it kind of expanded into like more indie, like Death Cab for Cutie was one of my favorite bands in high school, and the National, and yeah. So I don't know. It's just I love like all kinds of music. So I guess that's kind of what influences me. That's my long-winded answer to your question.
It's not long-winded at all, and there are no wrong answers.
Yeah.
And it's neat. I mean, ELO to Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
That's some stylistic distance.
It's true. Yeah.
There's a lot of spaces and a lot of genres in between there.
Yes. Yeah.
In terms of who you're listening to these days, or do you
These
try not?
days.
I know a lot of singer-songwriters, particularly, who don't like to listen to other people.
Oh no, I feel like, again, like I went through a time where I really didn't listen to that much music, or I wasn't listening to a lot of newer stuff, but in the last couple of years, like I can't not have music on, sort of thing. So
You've been gigging a lot this year, which
Yes.
is nice to see.
Yes.
Lots, a good stream of public gigs, but lots of private stuff as well.
Yeah, it's been a pretty cool mix this year. Yeah.
This season, the outdoor season,
Yes.
where the Okanagan is going to start coming to an end.
Yeah.
Another month or so.
I know. So sad.
What kind of goals, what kind of plans do you have for the rest of this year? And then we'll talk about longer range goals.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've been pretty in the moment this spring, summer, just kind of riding this wave of like you mentioned with audio stuff, working a little bit at the RCA and with NHP and at Redbird. And so I'm kind of hoping that in the fall I can do a bit more of that side of it. I would like to gig less just because even though I love it, it's just the way it is right now is a lot and it doesn't feel sustainable just vocally and and feeling with the amount of energy I want to put into it. So I would love to just be able to focus more on songwriting and recording and experimenting, I guess, in the studio, my bedroom, and just learning maybe more electric guitar and stuff like that. But I do still need to figure out how to pay the bills and things like that. So
they kind of demand.
They do.
Without exception.
Yeah.
In the studio, I mean, when I was younger, in the studio, I meant spending elephant dollars and scheduling ahead of time and getting in and needing to get it done first take if possible.
Yes.
So you weren't spending a fortune on it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, all of us have bedroom studios or dining room table studios or whatever that can compete with what we used to record it down in the record plant in LA in the 70s.
Yeah.
So having taken the course, and I mentioned at the top that you completed a course in sound engineering.
Yeah.
Do you feel that's all directly applicable to the time you're spending recording?
Yeah, I mean, so much of it is you can learn everything in the studio or in the classroom, but you don't actually learn it until you just start doing it. So yes, it's definitely all applicable, and I'm super grateful for just that knowledge and to have had the opportunity and privilege to do it. But it's just a whole nother thing to be doing it. And also I get very no, I got to do it myself. So it's really pushed me also to reach out for help. But that also pushes me then to connect with other musicians, which is something that I have always been very shy to do, but now I'm just why have I been so shy? If this is awesome. I love hearing other people's music or just other people's input because it's always just me. So yeah, to learn from other people, whether it's live sound or studio sound, is very inspiring. And it's just it doesn't feel like there's a end to it. It's a continuous
and there won't be
thing, which doesn't feel daunting. It feels very exciting because it's just kind of the only part about it that I always have to remind myself is not to get caught up in making things perfect, because now that we can have everything at our fingertips, it's so easy to just think, oh, I gotta keep mixing, I gotta keep doing this, and then it's just overdone. When personally, I mean, I love all music, but I love demos and things that were just made in the moment, and it doesn't have to sound the Christmas or whatever.
Take 172.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanna, my goal with that is to kind of put music out that is just a representation of this time.
The big goal, the big dream, is there one? Is it just you just enjoying the journey?
Yeah. That's, for some reason, that's always been a hard question, because I don't know if part of it is I've always been too scared to say no, I don't want, fame and fortune, or I don't need any of that. But there's also a part of me that truly feels that's not the goal. It's I was thinking about this the other day, where I'm at right now is I've never enjoyed life so much, and I don't feel like I'm doing anything like, you know, really noteworthy or amazing, like ticking off like these accomplishments or whatever. But I am doing what I've always been wanting to do. I just know that I always want to do music. Like it's something I've always done for my whole life, yet not really. Like I've always also been afraid to do it because it's very vulnerable for me. I don't. It's like a very healing thing for me too. So, yeah, I feel like that's my journey with music, is the healing within myself, and hopefully to help others, you know, give others something that they can relate to or just enjoy, and see where it goes.
Well, you know, and that, you know, speaking with a lot of different songwriters, there's this undeniable truth, we'll call it for the moment, that when you're singing somebody else's song, you know, if they don't like the version of the song, they don't like your version of the song. But when you're singing one of your own songs, it feels like they don't like you.
Yes, yeah, that's so true.
And it's like,
So
no,
true.
you're rejecting me.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge I think a lot of songwriters have and struggle with throughout their entire careers.
Yeah, totally. It is hard to, like sometimes for me, like finding that balance of like at the Vibrant Vine last year, being like, at that time of my life, I felt like I really needed to share the story behind the song or the reason why it was written, because that was just part of my journey too, of kind of like, what's the word? Just moving on in a different stage of healing. Like, you know, some stages you don't need to tell everybody what's going on, and that's okay. And not that I feel like I need to tell everybody. It's kind of when the moment comes, but just to take, I guess, at that time, like the shame out of it, and to, but I kind of feel now I'm at a place where I love sharing the stories and I love hearing stories, but it doesn't feel like I need to share the deepest part of it, because it can just be what somebody relates to it at that time, if that makes sense. Like once I sing it now, it's theirs to interpret and relate or not relate to.
Clearly, the approach you took last year has served you well.
Thanks.
All right, because you're much more confident when you go up there now. The courage that you have is now, you know, palpable. You can see it, you can hear it. It's just there, without having lost the vulnerability and transparency.
Right.
Oh, so cool. To wrap, is there any one thing on your mind, on your heart, that to anybody, to a fan, to a struggling musician,
wow, like I feel like there's so many things sometimes, but then I could go on forever. I guess maybe just like one of the biggest things I feel like I'm learning, and if I could help anyone else starting out, is that it's okay to not know where you're going with it. It's okay to not know what the heck you're doing. But just to keep doing, like just to keep going. And I think there's so much now that is so helpful, especially with social media. Like it's such an amazing tool. But it's also not everybody's strong point, and that's okay. Like hopefully I'll just get to the place one day where I could pay somebody to do all that stuff for me, but it's, you know, like there can be like a lot of suggestions of like, you should share more of your life, you should do this, and then, you know, this, and then this follows this and this, and those aren't bad things at all. Like they're very helpful tools, but I guess something that I've learned is just to not let, even like I constantly struggle with that, so just to not let it like hold me back so much, and to just keep doing, because like as you had noticed the growth for me, and that like I was saying, you don't notice how much you're growing. You definitely stop growing when you stop. So like, or like it's okay to stop for a while and focus on your mental health or focus on other things that bring you joy, and just trust that it will all come back, sort of. You know, you'll find your footing again, but just don't stop like being, sounds corny, but true to yourself. And that changes, I think.
Of course it does.
All the time. So.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Kailee, it's been a wonderful sit down
Thanks.
with you. And thank you so
Likewise.
much for letting me in and letting us
thank
do
you.
this. And we're looking forward to seeing more of your shows. Your site has a list of all your upcoming shows.
It does, yes.
Do you also post those on your socials?
Yes, I do. I do my best. I've not been as good lately, but I do post primarily on Instagram, which I think also then just automatically posts to Facebook. So if that's more people's thing, then yeah, they can check that out.
Awesome. Thank you, Kailee.
Thank you so much, Miles.
Bye-bye.